Giant, always a giant. For me, it's only a giant.
What's going on YouTube? Diggy546. Definitely hit that subscribe button if you're new. Like the video if you like the video. And I won't tell if you click that bell. But let's go ahead and get into this. All right, so the deal that we all were anticipating, but we didn't know would actually get done. We didn't know when this was going to get done. We didn't know if this was going to happen at the end of next year. We didn't know if this was going to happen today, which it did. We didn't know if it was going to happen in a couple of weeks or during training camp or during the season. So this is somewhat of a surprise, but not a huge surprise. And I would say that Dexter Lawrence, that's right, Dexter Lawrence is back for 4 more years. So I would say that this is the perfect deal, in my opinion. I mean, you look at the value, 4 years, $90 million, 60 million guaranteed, literally what, a million more guaranteed than Deron Payne. Deron Payne's average per year is 22.5. Dexter Lawrence's is 22.5. Deron Payne, first of all, is not as good as Dexter Lawrence, and he's got a little bit less guaranteed, and he's making the same amount. Jeffrey Simmons, I don't think is as good as Dexter Lawrence. I just don't see it. All of these guys, Dexter Lawrence, Deron Payne, Jeffrey Simmons, DeForest Buckner, signed their deals at 25 years old. And if you look at this, man, like just the steal of a deal, in my opinion. I mean, to get him for 22.5 when I thought he was going to probably cost you 23, 24 at least. I thought you would have to pay him more than Jeffrey Simmons. Quentin Williams is coming up, and he's probably going to be the guy that resets the market. But for now, Dexter Lawrence is sitting in at number 3, tied for number 3 for defensive tackle salaries, and that's behind Aaron Donald, who of course is making $31.6 million a year. And Aaron Donald is basically not a defensive tackle. And when I say he's not a defensive tackle, of course he plays defensive tackle, but he's not a he's not just one position. He's like an all-time great player. So that's why that gap is so much. But Dex found himself a nice spot here, and I was kind of worried. I was kind of worried about Dex 2 years ago, 3 years ago. He stood out as that guy who could be stout against the run, but even then he wasn't always dominant in the run game. He had a little bit here and there, a little bit flashes here and there where he pushed back the pocket. I'm like, he looks good there. We played him at 3 tech. We played him at even 5 tech at times. We played him pretty much all up and down the defensive line as far as everything but outside the tackles. And Dexter Lawrence has shown that he can be versatile. The guy's 6'4", 340 something pounds, quick for his size. And like I said, if you asked me 3 years ago, are we going to re-sign Dexter Lawrence? I say maybe we re-sign him. And then you would say, are you going to re-sign Dexter Lawrence for $22.5 million? I would say you're insane. I would say you're absolutely nuts. But we did. He got that 5th-year option picked up. So I'm pretty sure this 4-year deal is going to kick in after the 4-year, after the 5th-year option, which is this upcoming year. So I'm thinking it's going to be 5 years, but I'm not sure. I don't have that in front of me. But again, like the growth that he was able to achieve by getting that new defensive line coach, by getting Wink Martindale in here, by getting even Leonard Williams, who got here I think in year 2 of Dexter Lawrence's career. Even Leonard Williams getting here, helping him develop. He has really taken that next step, especially last year where he was probably the best defensive tackle in football. I mean, you had guys who had great stats, but as far as the impact, this guy was winning us games from the defensive tackle position. He was, really pushing the pocket, and that's including Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald is a monster. Aaron Donald is him. Aaron Donald is that dude. But last year, it's kind of difficult to say that any defensive tackle played better all around. I'm not talking about a guy who had, more sacks. I'm talking about sacks. I'm talking about run defense. I'm talking about pressures on the quarterback, hits on the quarterback. Just the you have to game plan for this guy. Dex is literally like Vita Vea on steroids. It is really ridiculous. So again, really excited to have him back. That 2019 class, man, like We talk about Dave Gettleman, and people will be mad at me for doing this, but I got to give props where it is, man. I got to give props where it's due. We talk about Dave Gettleman, and we talk about how bad of a job he did, but the first, this 2019 draft, he got Daniel Jones, Dexter Lawrence. DeAndre Baker was a flop, but that wasn't really his fault because DeAndre Baker kind of did some crazy stuff by himself. But besides that, you got, I think, yeah, DeAndre Baker was that year. So yeah, DeAndre Baker was a flop. And then you got Darius Slayton, you got Julian Love out of that draft who went to another team but could have been resigned by us. Wasn't a bad player at all. And you had Ryan Connolly that draft, I think. And Ryan Connolly tore his ACL. If he didn't, who knows what he would have been doing. So that draft was really good. That draft was really good. We got contributors, and two guys signed mega deals with us, and the third guy simply didn't get re-signed because we had to sign those two guys to mega deals. Now we got Andrew Thomas coming up. Xavier McKinney might be the next guy who's the odd man out, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. But Andrew Thomas is definitely next on the docket. We heard that last time we heard from Joe Shane, I think this morning on Good Morning Football, he mentioned that he was talking to Dex's people. He was talking to Saquon's people. So you got to think if there is like some huge announcement that it's going to be the Saquon deal. I haven't heard anything about him talking to Andrew Thomas's people. So maybe that's a next year thing or a mid-season thing. But Andrew Thomas is going to be making, I mean, what, 27 million a year, 28 million a year, maybe 30 million a year. He's going to be the highest paid offensive lineman. It's coming. I mean, who knows when it's coming, but it's coming. So looking at our defensive tackle room, I mean, I want to just give a shout out to all the defensive tackles that have fallen, that have gotten to the Giants and left. Barry Cofield, Super Bowl champion Barry Cofield. Before that was Chris Canty, who wasn't a Giant. We didn't draft him. But Barry Cofield. Then we had Linval Joseph, strongest man in the world almost. I mean, the dude was a superhuman. Then we got Jonathan Hankins. And then we had Dalvin Tomlinson. Then, of course, Dex was a little bit after him, but Dalvin Tomlinson left. And now Dexter Lawrence is finally the defensive tackle that resigns. And I think there's no debate here. Dex is the best out of all of these defensive tackles, and that's why he got re-signed. So, again, like I said, looking at this defensive tackle room, you got Dex making 22.5. You got, let's see if I can get Leonard Williams' deal here. I don't have it up. I think he's listed as a defensive end, but I'm pretty sure Leonard Williams is making around the same. So to get him at that price, and we paid a guy who wasn't as good as him this much 2-3 years ago, I think that's a really good deal. Leonard Williams is probably on the outs pretty soon because he's getting paid a ton of money, and you cannot pay your defensive tackles 40 plus million, 44, $45 million a year. Can't afford to do that. But for now, we got both of those two. We got Nick Williams and DJ Davidson coming back. We got the guy Jordan, I think Riley. Excuse me if I'm remembering his name wrong, that we drafted this year. We got Ashawn Robinson. Nice depth piece that's going to let Dexter Lawrence and let Leonard Williams come off the field. And then we got Nacho. So that's 5-6 defensive tackles that I feel really good about. We're not going to be able to keep all of them, but best believe this rotation is going to be crazy. This rotation is going to be ridiculous. We got 2 all-pro level guys, or at least Pro Bowl level guys in Leonard Williams, that guys can take over the game, and then they're going to actually be fresh all year long because we got a guy like Ashawn Robinson, and we got a guy like Nacho, and we got a guy like Nick Williams, who gave us some good reps last year. So excited to see Dex back. The 2019 class is looking crazy right now with him and Daniel Jones both getting mega deals. So I'll give Dave Gettleman a small shout out. If you made it this deep into the video, check out the Bills logo on Brian Dable. Listen, my images for my backgrounds got corrupted. So going to have to come out with some new images. But for now, we're rocking with Bills, Brian Dable. But you guys have a great rest of your day. Hopefully you enjoyed this Dexter Lawrence extension. Let's go. He's going to be here for 4 more years. He's probably going to retire a Giant. If you made it this deep into the video, come on, just hit the subscribe button. I make Giants content primarily, draft content, secondarily. And during the season, I'm going to be doing a lot of reacting to pretty much most of the NFL games and everything NFL. So if you made it this deep, go ahead and join the D6 squad.